I honestly never thought I would make another Eminem video, but here we are. So I'm currently working on a few videos. I assume this one will be out first because it's a little easier to make, and that's thanks to user mstole1987f. Great name, by the way. He's the original creator of this iceberg, so all the credit goes to him. I'm simply explaining it. If you don't know what an iceberg is, it's basically a bunch of information about a specific topic with the well-known things at the top, and it gets more obscure as the iceberg goes deeper. This is my second iceberg, with my first one being the Tyler the Creator one, so if you like this one, I encourage you to check that one out too. Without further ado, let's jump back into these icy waters. Slim Shady. Slim Shady is the alter ego of Eminem. The idea came to him while on the toilet, where apparently a lot of good material came from. He said he was kind of skinny, hence Slim, and then Shady because it rhymed with a lot of things. It's also worth noting that the reason he came up with an alter ego was that his rap group D12 was originally intended to have 12 members, but when they couldn't get 6 more, each member came out with an alter ego, technically making 12. Marshall Mathers. Marshall Mathers is Eminem's real name, being the third Marshall Bruce Mathers in his family. What a beautiful name. Haley. Haley is Eminem's first and only biological daughter. She's currently 26 years old and has been featured and even the namesake of a couple Eminem songs. Eminem is famously protective of his daughter, making full diss tracks to anyone who's ever even said her name. Studio albums. As of this video, Eminem currently has 11 studio albums: Infinite, the Slim Shady LP, the Marshall Mathers LP, the Eminem Show, Encore, Relapse, Recovery, the Marshall Mathers LP 2, Revival, Kamikaze, and Music to Be Murdered By sides A and B. And a shameless self-plug, I've ranked all of these albums and done a redux that you should totally check out. Mom Spaghetti. This is one of the famous lyrics from Eminem's song Lose Yourself. It's become a meme in recent years just because it's a weird line overall and a great uplifting song, but in 2021, Eminem opened a couple Mom Spaghetti restaurants in Detroit with pop-ups in New York and LA. He also delivered free food to frontline hospital workers during the COVID-19 pandemic that we're still in, but you know what I mean. Common questions. Can I still have sex during the coronavirus pandemic? Not that I need to know this, but at least one person was curious. D12. D12 is the hip-hop group created by Eminem, Big Proof, Kaniva, Swifty McVeigh, Mr. Porter, and Bizarre. The group was mainly active from 1996 to 2006, releasing 2 mixtapes, 1 EP, and 2 albums during that time, then releasing 3 mixtapes in between 2008 and 2015, with Eminem not making an appearance on the first one and only having 1 appearance on each in the last 2. They also appeared on the SHADYXV compilation album, but once again without Eminem. Eminem marks the death of Proof, the real ending from the group, but in 2018, on the song Stepping Stone from Kamikaze, he officially declares the group over. 8 Mile. 8 Mile is the 2002 film based on Eminem's life where he plays the main character, Jimmy Smith Jr., who is based on himself. The movie gets its namesake from the highway between the predominantly black city of Detroit and the largely white suburban communities to the north of that Eminem originally lived in. Kim Mathers. Kim is Eminem's ex-wife and mother of his first child Haley and his adoptive child Stevie. Kim and Em were married in 1999 to 2001 and then shortly remarried for some time in 2006. Kim is unfortunately the namesake of a very violent song from the Marshall Mathers LP 1 and has a ton of dishonorable mentions in Eminem's early music. Although as of late Eminem has spoken highly of her, expressed regret in songs like Going Through Changes and Bad Husband, and in 2015, Kim mentioned that she and Eminem are really close and supportive of each other, mentioning how they're just trying to raise their children as normally as possible. Paul Rosenberg. Paul Rosenberg is a music attorney, CEO of Def Jam Records, and is Eminem's manager and co-founder of Shady Records. He met Eminem in 1996 in Detroit at a hip-hop shop. It was a clothing and music store and a venue that hosted rap battles every Saturday night. He's been featured on a couple Eminem albums as the adult in the room, usually to present some kind of self-awareness. Beef with MGK. For a couple years, this beef we all know so well was mostly one-sided. In 2012, MGK tweeted that Eminem's daughter Haley was, quote, hot as fuck. Mind you, she was 16 and he was 22.
Good, why don't you have a seat right over there?
Eminem seemed to leave this alone, at least publicly, but then in 2015, MGK accused Eminem of blackballing him. He claims Eminem had him banned from Shady 45, his radio station, and in turn, many people wouldn't listen or review his sophomore album. Side note, I actually remember when this album came out, and it's fucking ass, so there's your review.
This record to me is like the worst of every white male hip-hop artist of the 2000s condensed into one album and released 10 years later.
In early 2018, MGK threw some subs at Eminem on Tech Nine's song No Reason, where he said,
"So remind y'all, you just rap, you not bars. And I don't care who got bars, because they don't acknowledge mine, so show me who got stars."
Months later, Eminem responds on his song Not Alike, where he says,
"But next time you don't gotta use Tech 9 if you wanna come at me with a submachine gun."
and goes on to throw more shots at him. A couple days later, MGK releases the monstrosity that is Rap Devil, a diss track, I guess, to Eminem, where he says these great lines like,
Somebody grab his clippers. His fucking beard is weird.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
he just calls him like old and stuff. And then the same day, the second part of the Kamikaze interview releases, where Eminem says he doesn't want to give MGK the spotlight, and then he releases Kill Shot, a crazy diss track toward him, which quickly ended the beef. Machine Gun Kelly went on for months telling everyone how he didn't care. He really wanted everyone to know that he did not care. He made it very clear. Bad Meets Evil. Bad Meets Evil is the duo made up of Eminem and Royce da 5'9". The group was formed in 1998 with the song that became their namesake, and it released in 1999 on the Slim Shady LP. They released 2 more songs that year with Nothing to Do and Scary Movies, although Bad Meets Evil would break up a few years later due to issues between Royce and D12, but the duo would reconcile after the loss of their mutual friend Proof. Since then, Bad Meets Evil would release their debut album, Held a Sequel, in 2011 that would go on to be certified gold and have the hit single Lighters featuring Bruno Mars. The duo collaborates frequently, but rarely using the Bad Meets Evil name, mostly using it on SHADYXV and the Southpaw soundtrack, despite collaborating numerous times since then. Most people want another album, and I couldn't agree more. I think Held a Sequel is great, and I would love to see more from them. Up in Smoke Tour. The Up in Smoke Tour was headlined by Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg, with Ice Cube and Eminem being the special guest. There were a plethora of other artists that made appearances as well, though. They toured from June to August 2000, and Eminem's set consisted of the songs Kill You, Dead Wrong, Under the Influence, Marshall Mathers, Criminal, and The Real Slim Shady. The full recorded tour is available for free on YouTube. Beef with Nick Cannon. In 2001, Eminem briefly dated Mariah Carey, who went on to deny their relationship, and the two went back and forth at each other for years. In 2009, on Eminem's comeback album Relapse, he included a song called Bagpipes from Baghdad, where he calls Nick Cannon a prick and wishes him good luck with the fucking whore. Sheesh. Then Nick writes a long Tumblr post where he shoots back at Eminem and refers to the old leaks of racist music from Eminem's very early career. He even goes on to call him a natural-born racist. Then Mariah Carey releases a song Obsessed about Eminem, portraying him as a stalker and a creep. Sometime later, Eminem releases The Warning, where he attacks Nick and Mariah and threatens to release pictures and audio confirming their relationship, which I don't think we have the time to go into all of that right now. Sometime later, Nick Cannon wanted to box Eminem for charity, which obviously never happened. In 2019, on the Fat Joe song Lord Above, Eminem threw some more shots at Nick, with Mariah now being their mutual ex. Sometime later, Nick Cannon released what I thought was 1 diss track, but apparently 3 that I just don't really feel like listening to, aimed at Eminem. Eminem just replied with these tweets, and this one is my personal favorite. Eminem alluded to not caring too much about the beef on the song No Regrets when he said, "Some targets will get the kill shot, some I just barely nicked them," which is pretty funny. Godzilla Challenge. The Godzilla Challenge was started by Eminem asking fans to try and rap the end of his Godzilla verse, where he raps 224 words in 31 seconds, beating his record from Rap God and Offended. The Twitter user JackSherlock1 was crowned the winner by Eminem himself, and I love that he shows off his vinyl collection in this video. Cole Bennett music videos. Cole Bennett is a music video director known for his company Lyrical Lemonade. Eminem tapped Cole to do the Godzilla music video because of Cole's close relationship with Juice WRLD, in a way to pay tribute to the late artist. Cole also directed Nat off Music to Be Murdered by Side B. Infinite was Eminem's first album in 1996, released through Web Entertainment before he signed to Aftermath. The production was all done by Mr. Porter and Eminem himself, with guest appearances from Proof, IQI, 3, and more. Beef with Benzino and Ja Rule. Okay, this one's a little long, so buckle up. In 2002, Eminem released The Eminem Show, which got a rating of 4 mics out of 5 by The Source magazine. Marshall wasn't too happy about it because he thought it deserved 5. He blamed The Source and its co-founder Benzino, claiming that he'd never get 5 mic rating because he was a white rapper.
Bruh, how you gonna talk behind my back when you dead-ass built like a...
So, in usual Eminem fashion, he would throw shots at The Source in interviews and refuse to talk to Benzino to promote 8 Mile. He was performing in Puerto Rico when Benzino showed up backstage for an interview, but Eminem gave him a hard pass. Benzino later shared the story with an interview, then proceeded to diss Eminem in a freestyle. Later that year, Benzino released Pull Up Your Skirt and threw shots at Eminem like,
2003 Vanilla Ice, how you playing it? If you ask me, you really ain't that nice, you overrated.
When Benzino was asked about his motivation behind the song, he said, I had a problem with the machine, with the double standard in hip-hop. Certain media outlets take to him and look to him as the savior in hip-hop, and the #1 in hip-hop, and don't recognize the guys out here that really created hip-hop. Eminem is just a hood ornament for the machine. You think I could grab my crotch and put my ass in people's faces the way he does? No way, but as long as the color of your skin and his eyes fit what America wants, it's alright. He later released I Don't Wanna, where he says,
I don't care how much record you sold. You can't walk through the hood without the men in black. Disrespect your mom, bitch, you deserve a smack.
Finally, Eminem released his notorious diss track Invasion, The Sauce, and Nail in the Coffin. He made fun of things like Benzino's rapping skills, his age, his gangster act, and his weird business practices. In an interview with Hot 97, he said, I never met this man, this girl. She's obsessed with me. I never would think I would see the day when I seen the worst rapper in the world going against one of the best. In response, Benzino released Die Another Day and Better Lose Yourself, a parody of Eminem's Lose Yourself. He threatened the lives of Eminem and his daughter, saying,
Tell Haley it ain't safe no more. Daddy better watch your back at the candy store.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
After this, Eminem released Go to Sleep and not only insulted Benzino but also included Ja Rule, who was beefing with 50 Cent at the time. Eminem landed a cover story with the Source competitor XXL, which actually helped spark a feud between the two publications. Ja Rule, who was on good terms with the Source, started going at Eminem, especially since he signed his rival 50 Cent to Shady Aftermath. He released a song called Loose Change and insulted Eminem's daughter, saying,
Damn, you claim your mother's a crackhead and Kim is a known slut, so what's Haley gonna be when she grows up?
Later in 2003, Eminem and his friends shot back with a bunch of diss tracks aimed at Ja Rule and Benzino like Bump Heads, Do Re Mi, Hail Mary, and the Conspiracy Freestyle. In response to Shady Records songs, Benzino released Fallin' Down, where he dissed both Eminem and 50 Cent and started collaborating with Ja Rule on one more diss track. Eminem released a few more diss tracks for good measure, taking jabs at both Ja Rule and Benzino, but in 2005, he finally brought things to a close with the song I'm Gone. 7 years after the feud ended, Benzino appeared on Rap Fix Live and he said that he made a mistake, saying, I can say now I was wrong for it, because at the end of the day, M is a great lyricist and he should be able to express himself in hip-hop as anybody should. Little too late for that, buddy. Ken Kniff. So, the original Ken Kniff skit was a prank call from Aristotle to Eminem, where he says a bunch of funny sexual things to M. They thought it was funny, so they put it on the album. Eminem will continue to use this character on skits on MMLP 1, Relapse, and MMLP 2. The Hip Hop Shop. The Hip Hop Shop was a clothing store and battle rap venue Eminem used to battle at. His friend Proof used to host the battles, and Eminem and his D12 buddies did a lot of battling there. You can find a lot of the battles online, it's really cool to see. The Slim Shady EP. Alright, this one's for all you motherfuckers who commented on my Eminem album ranking saying I didn't talk about the Slim Shady EP. The Slim Shady EP was Eminem's first extended play that came out in 1997, 2 years before the Slim Shady LP. Despite it having 10 tracks and being about 40 minutes, he decided to call it an EP. Songs from here would just be transferred over to Slim Shady LP, like If I Had, Just Don't Give a Fuck, and Just the Two of Us, which would be renamed 97 Bonnie and Clyde. The intro to this EP used to always freak me out when I was younger. Stand with Elton John. In 2001, Eminem had multiple Grammy nominations for the Marshall Mathers LP. The album received immense praise but also a ton of backlash for its homophobic content. The Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation, or GLAAD, planned to hold a rally outside the Staples Center in Los Angeles to protest M's album, whether he performed it or not. M decided to perform, but decided to replace Dido on Stand with Elton John instead, being that he's an openly gay musician. Elton John knew he'd face pushback for the decision, but said that if he thought Eminem was hateful, then he wouldn't do it. At the end of the song, M and Elton hug and hold hands as the crowd cheers. Now, this is a great performance. Does it make up for M's use of homophobic slurs before and after this performance? No, but it's nice to know that these two are still close today. Straight from the Lab leaks. Straight from the Lab was a 2003 compilation of leaked songs by M. Originally released, the tape consisted of the songs We As Americans and Love You More, which would end up on Encore's deluxe version the following year. Come On In, a Benzino diss track that would end up on D12 World the following year but named 6 in the Morning, and 4 more Ja Rule, Benzino, and Cannabis diss tracks like Monkey See, Monkey Do, Cannabitch, Bully, and Haley's Revenge. In 2011, the tape would actually be expanded upon with more leaks that range anywhere from 2005 to 2011. These songs included The Apple, Things Get Worse, Give Me the Ball, Oh No, Wee Wee, Topless, Fly Away, Difficult, Emulate, Cocaine, I Get Money, Hit Me With Your Best Shot, Ballin' Uncontrollably, Celebrity, Syllables, Goat, and It's Been Real. Some of these songs are great, like Cocaine, Fly Away, and Difficult. They're definitely my personal favorites out of the bunch. There were a few songs that were included that later were officially released, like Where I'm At by Lloyd Banks, Echo, and Living Proof by Bad Meets Evil, and the Hello Good Morning remix. Eminem's drug addiction. In 2001, while filming 8 Mile, Eminem began taking sleep medication to help him rest after shooting and recording. He was filming the movie and recording 3 separate albums all at the same time. He began to consume anywhere between 10 to 20 Vicodin daily, in addition to massive doses of Valium, Ambien, and other substances. In 2007, Eminem would overdose in his bathroom to be saved by paramedics who thought this would surely result in his death, as the number of drugs in his system was equivalent to 4 bags of heroin. Eminem was able to survive this overdose by having to regain his motor skills, his rapping skills, even having to relearn speaking properly. Luckily, since this incident, Eminem has remained clean and recently celebrated 14 years of sobriety this past April. The Re-Up. The Re-Up is the first Shady Records compilation album that was released in December of 2006. The album included the main Shady roster at the time: Eminem, 50 Cent, D12, Obi Trice, Stat Quo, Bobby Creekwater, Cassius, and some guest appearances from some close friends of the label, like Nate Dogg and Lloyd Banks. The album was 23 tracks long, with everyone getting to shine, and the most popular song from this album was You Don't Know, which you ironically probably know. Fun fact about this album though, Eminem drew the cover art himself. The man is quite an artist. Awfully Hot Coffee Pot. This is a meme entrance referring to Eminem's BET cypher where he opens with these lyrics.
That's an awfully hot coffee pot.
It was inevitable that the line would become a meme, but the freestyle that was aimed at Trump was actually really good. Southpaw. Southpaw is a 2015 film starring Jake Gyllenhaal, Forrest Whitaker, and Rachel McAdams about a boxer who sets out to get his life back on track after losing his wife in an accident and later his young daughter to Child Protective Services. Eminem was originally supposed to play the role of the main character, Billy Hope. The film's screenwriter, Kurt Sutter, said the project was inspired by the rapper's personal struggles. He said that he had taken meetings with Eminem's producing partners over the past couple of years, looking to do something together. Producers Alan and Peter Rich have given a slightly different story about Eminem's involvement, however, saying that they set out to make a boxing movie like The Champ, but wanted to make the story about a father-daughter relationship as opposed to The Champ's father-son story. Recalling Eminem's strong relationship with his daughter, they asked him, and he was immediately receptive, although would end up dropping out of the film to focus on the Marshall Mathers LP too. Eminem did stay involved with the film, however, executively producing the album and having it released through Shady Records. The album has original music from the likes of Eminem, Royce da 5'9", 50 Cent, and more. The surprise album trend. After the negative reception to M's 9th studio album Revival, he released his 10th album Kamikaze only 8 months later by surprise. We've seen artists like Beyonce do this before, but this was unusual for Eminem because we typically would know about his release dates months in advance. Since surprise dropping Kamikaze, he also surprise dropped Music to Be Murdered by sides A and B, but B was actually leaked a few weeks before it was officially released. Eminem Be Like TikTok trend. This guy on TikTok and YouTube called Lil Windex would post these funny videos poking fun at Eminem's rapping style, rapping about very mundane things or basically just narrating what he's doing but in the style of Eminem. The videos are pretty funny. DJ Green Lantern mixtapes. This is a fun one for me personally. DJ Green Lantern was signed to Shady Records in the early 2000s and hosted a show on Eminem's radio station Shady 45. As Eminem's DJ, he was responsible for touring with him and spinning at shows such as the Shady National Convention and the Game's album release party. He would go on to release a series of mixtapes with Eminem titled The Invasion Mixtapes, which featured a ton of diss tracks to Ja Rule and Benzino, among others. The duo split in 2005 for weird reasons. 50 Cent was beefing with Jadakiss, Lantern and Jada were good friends, he didn't want to get caught in the middle of some shady beef, so he stepped down as Eminem's DJ. The Slim Shady Show. The Slim Shady Show was an animated miniseries in 2001 that followed Slim Shady along with his friends Ken Kniff, Marshall, Big D, and others, going on adventures across Detroit. The cast consisted of Exhibit, Lord Sear, and Mark Brooks playing recurring characters, and Eminem voicing most characters throughout the series. It only ran for 9 episodes and basically ranges from a South Park-inspired show that only teenage boys find funny or incomprehensible garbage. Beef with Cannabis. While Cannabis is basically unknown today, he was pretty big back in the late 90s. When Eminem was coming up, he had some beef with LL Cool J, with both artists throwing shots back and forth at each other. Cannabis and Wyclef Jean accused Eminem of ghostwriting LL's response. Eminem cleared up the misunderstanding, then planned to collab with Cannabis. Sometime later, Eminem released the Slim Shady LP, and on Role Model he raps,
I'm cancerous. When I did, you wouldn't want to answer this if you responded back with a battle rap you wrote for Cannabis.
This confused Cannabis because he didn't know if Eminem was dissing him or not, so in July 2000, Cannabis dropped his second album 2000 BC, and one of the songs on the album was Fuck You. Eminem was supposed to be featured on the track, however he turned it down because he didn't really get the concept of it. Cannabis got upset and dissed Eminem for a few years. M wanted to respond, but his friends told him it wasn't worth it, and after countless more subs from Cannabis, M released the diss track Cannabitch. After this feud died down with Cannabis still throwing shots at Eminem with no response, and in 2019, Eminem mentioned him on Conway the Machine's Bang with these lines.
That was back when I smoked cannabis. Man, but it was tough cause I was a fan of his, so it sucked a hand in his ass.
And most recently, Cannabis announced an NFT single featuring Eminem produced by Dr. Dre. When this song gets posted on Reddit, I'll check it out. Eminem and Punisher crossover. In 2009, the year of our Lord and Savior, Marvel collabed with Eminem to make Eminem and the Punisher Kill You. It was one issue made to promote Eminem's new album at the time, Relapse, and it features Eminem and the Punisher getting kidnapped by this guy, and Eminem kills him with a chainsaw. Yeah, pretty standard crossover if you ask me. Still not better than Jimmy Timmy Power Hour. Kickoff freestyle. Kickoff is an 11-minute a cappella freestyle by Eminem shot at the shelter at St. Andrews Hall. This freestyle is best known for this line he said about the Manchester bombing and a couple other notable memes.
It's fun for me just to grab a boob, plus my peanuts got an attitude. It's fun for me just to grab a boob.
Soul Intent. Soul Intent was an American hip-hop group from Detroit formed by producers Jeff and Mark Bass. The group was formerly known as Basement Productions with Eminem, Maxis, Chaos Kid, and DJ Butterfingers. They released a few EPs like Basement Production, Steppin' on the Scene, and Soul Intent in 1990. After the group's dissolution, Eminem embarked on an internationally successful solo career. Chaos Kid sadly committed suicide in 2011, and Champtown released an EP and 2 singles in the 90s. Beef with Insane Clown Posse. Jesus, Eminem has so many beefs. While promoting a new album and performance at the Detroit Club in 1997, Eminem handed out flyers that read there would be an appearance from ICP, maybe. Violent J of ICP caught wind of Eminem's promotional stunt and wasn't too pleased that he was using ICP and a non-existent ICP performance to gain some traction. What likely started as Eminem's attempt to coerce ICP to play at his gig backfired spectacularly. Violent J apparently told him, "Fuck no, I ain't coming to your party." Once ICP snubbed Eminem, he began dissing the group, and they claim Eminem threw them out of a club sometime after the flyer stunt in 97. The story goes that M and D12 chased ICP out of a club and shot their van with a paintball gun. The artists threw shots back and forth at each other for some time until in 2000 when Eminem waved a gun at Doug Dale, a known associate of ICP. M was hit with weapon charges and eventually pleaded to no contest. He was sentenced to a year of probation and community service. The judge told Marshall, "You are extremely lucky, sir, that no one was injured or killed." And later that same day, Eminem pulled the same gun on a man who kissed his then wife, Kim Mathers. The beef came to an end in 2006 thanks to Eminem's friend Proof when they all went bowling together. What a happy ending.
Nice cock.
Bodied. Bodied is a 2017 battle rap comedy drama directed by Joseph Kahn. It was written by Alex Larson and produced by Eminem. The film first premiered at the 2017 Toronto International Film Festival. The film stars Caleb Worthy as Adam, a graduate student who becomes a competitive battle rapper after becoming immersed in the scene while working on his graduate thesis. I've personally never seen the film, but there was supposed to be a song on the soundtrack from Eminem, Westside Boogie, and Anderson .Paak called Freak, and we were fucking robbed. King Mathers. King Mathers is an unreleased album by Eminem that was supposed to be released in 2007 and was originally planned to be his final album. M himself has rarely mentioned the project ever since, but later he would reveal the actual existence of this project. You can actually listen to most of it, if not every song that was intended to be on the project, online, in studio, or close to studio quality. Relapse 2. Another unreleased album, but in this case, it was said that Eminem had recorded enough material for a Relapse 2 and possibly 3. M had mentioned that there would be a Relapse 2 when him, Dr. Dre, and Mr. Porter went to Hawaii in the summer of 2009, after Relapse dropped and the reception had begun settling in. They locked themselves in the Honolulu studio, where M proceeded to work on a new batch of music. It didn't take long for the songs created during the Hawaii sessions to spark M's creativity, to the point where he felt that the new tracks were far superior to what had originally lined up. Given the timeline, as well as the fact that Dre and Mr. Porter were among those present, it could be assumed that songs like On Fire, So Bad, Rioters, and even The Warning were among the tracks recorded in Hawaii. These songs ultimately ended up on Recovery, but seeing as M still intended to drop Relapse 2 as planned, it's likely that those tracks form the basis of this new version of Relapse 2. M delayed Relapse 2 to 2010 and instead released Relapse Refill, a re-released Relapse that featured an additional 9 songs: Hell Breaks Loose, Buffalo Bill, Elevator, Taking My Ball, Drop the Bomb on 'Em, My Darling, Careful What You Wish For, Music Box, and even the collab with Drake, Kanye, and Lil Wayne, Forever. While this is hardly confirmed, we can guess that M had already moved on from the original Relapse 2, shifting the focus to its revised variant. With that being said, if M had already made the decision to change the plan, it's entirely possible he preserved the original Relapse 2 highlights and repackaged them on Refill. It would certainly make sense for songs like Buffalo Bill and Music Box to have stemmed from those sessions, given the subject matter sharing strong similarities to the first album. Months later, Eminem tweeted, "There is no Relapse 2, announcing Recovery right after. There remains a solid chunk of the album that has yet to see the light of day. Even the leaks that did surface, like Oh No, Things Get Worse in Cocaine, are unclear in origin. I'd love to see these songs get official release one day in the same style as Drake's Care Package." Steve Berman. Steve Berman is the vice chairman of Interscope Records, who M has had featured on a couple of his albums. He first appeared on MMLP to showcase the pressure M received from Interscope to make more radio-centered music. He appears again on the D12 album Devil's Night and again on the Eminem Show where Eminem shoots him. He makes his final appearance on Relapse where he mocks Eminem's music and drug addiction and then pulls a gun on M and tells him to get out of his office. By these skits, I'm sure Steve and M have a fun relationship. 2011 Brisk commercial. During the 2011 Super Bowl, Eminem starred in the stop-motion commercial for Brisk Iced Tea where he lists all his demands if he were to do a commercial. It's actually really funny and really well done. They even had Pixar-like animated outtakes. Beef with Everlast and Limp Bizkit. In 1999, Eminem allegedly ignored Everlast backstage at a concert, so he dropped a few bars at M and his daughter Haley on the remix to Eardrums Pop by Dilated Peoples. M caught wind of the song and hit back with disses of his own. One diss in particular, called I Remember, features M ridiculing Everlast's heart troubles and his age. Everlast replied with Whitey's Revenge, where he pulled no punches. He mentioned looking after Kim and Haley once M was sent to prison due to the assault charges he was facing at the time, and even questions M's sexuality. "You're gay!" Eminem would respond one last time with Quitter, where M ridiculed Everlast's career and transitioned into country western rap. The diss ended the feud as Everlast never bounced back. Limp Bizkit and Eminem were actually friends at one point, that is until the band's DJ Lethal said Everlast, his former House of Pain mate, would beat Eminem in a fight on MTV's TRL. M didn't appreciate this act of betrayal, so he released Girls, a verbal attack on every member of Limp Bizkit. He rapped about the violent acts he wanted to commit against the band, while also calling them soft for backing out of the feud with Everlast. The animosity between the two acts never really settled, despite Limp Bizkit frontman Fred Durst praising Recovery on Twitter. Eminem produced a posthumous Tupac album. During an interview with MTV, Eminem stated he was so moved by Tupac's life and work that he wrote a letter to Tupac's mother, asking her to consider letting him produce his next album. She agreed, allowing Eminem to produce 3 new songs for the 2003 soundtrack album, Tupac Resurrection, and the entirety of Loyal to the Game. Loyal to the Game was Pac's 9th studio album and 5th posthumous album that consisted of remixes of previously unreleased music recorded by Tupac before his death in 1996. I personally never heard this album, but if it's worth a listen, let me know in the comments. Fact on Greatest Hits. In 2005, Eminem released his Greatest Hits album, Curtain Call. On it, he released 2 new songs, When I'm Gone, a song labeled as one of his best, and Fact, a song labeled as one of his worst. I want to try and explain what this song is about, but I enjoy being monetized. You probably know this song, it's disgusting, it's all about, nasty stuff that I've never partaken in.
Are you a virgin?
Almost 10 years later, on SHADYXV, he pokes fun at the fact that he put it on a Greatest Hits album and even performed it for the first time live at Lollapalooza in 2016. Facebook livestream. The day Hell the Sequel was released, M and Royce livestreamed a Q&A on Facebook. The stream is filled with funny moments from the duo, and you can watch the full thing on YouTube. Bang original verse. This is a fun one. Kanye the Machine and Eminem have a song together titled Bang that came out in the summer of 2019, but about a year later an alternate version would be confirmed to be the first version of Eminem's verse. It has all the same lyrics with new additions of lines I just adore. We get a Mac Miller shout out that warms my heart, some disses to Joe Budden and MGK, and the reason this verse was so controversial is M's diss to Revolt TV, which
oh my god, who the hell cares?
You can form your own opinion on the matter. Revolt shot back at M and he ended up apologizing. Regardless, I think this verse is great, but I get why it wasn't used in the final draft. I have personal beef with Revolt because someone there called my song busy and too layered, whatever the fuck that means. Anyway, stream sobriety. 8 Mile lost battles. There were 3 unscripted battles from 8 Mile that were cut from the final film. These battles are honestly just as good, if not better, than the ones in the movie. I love the battle between M and Marv 1, who is a battle rap legend. I wish that one would have made it into the movie. These 3 battles are all available on YouTube. Eminem. While Eminem has always had that name, it was originally spelled like Eminem, a play on his initials. He eventually adopted the way it's currently spelled and it just stuck. Kulo leaks. Kulo is apparently the person responsible for the majority of leaked Eminem songs. Since 2010, he's been a prominent foreign personality who's notoriously leaked high-profile tracks and albums in the hip-hop community. He used to run a site called Studio Leaks that featured songs from The Game, Dr. Dre, and a plethora of Eminem songs, including the entirety of MMLP 2. He was even responsible for the leak of Kendrick Lamar's King Kunta. These days, Kulo's leaking days are over, as he stated himself that he's sorry, he hurt a lot of people, and he regrets his actions. He said the change of heart came when The Game tweeted him directly saying he was taking food off his children's table. Relationship with Mariah Carey. Eminem claims in the early 2000s he and Mariah Carey dated for several months, but according to Mariah, the relationship was purely professional and nothing more. This angered Eminem, and he started mentioning Mariah and their relationship in his music. The first reference began back in 2002 when he mentioned her twice by name on the Eminem Show on Superman. He rapped these lyrics.
What you trying to be my new wife? What, you Mariah? Fly through twice.
Oh, and on When the Music Stops.
What the fuck you take me for? A joke? You smoking crack? Before I do that, I beg Mariah to take me back.
After the album dropped, the whole world was like, whoa, they dated? Eminem later confirmed it to Rolling Stone, saying, there's truth to that, but on a whole other personal level. I'm not really feeling it. I just don't like her as a person. Mariah seemingly sank to his level on the song Clown, saying these lyrics.
You should've never intermediate, we were lovers. When you know very well we never even touched each other.
She even addressed the rumors that she flew her plane by to see him. She later called him a puppet and a clown, but never called him out by his name. Eminem took things farther by playing her intimate voicemails in the middle of his concerts. The messages allegedly included Mariah saying, "Why won't you see me? Why won't you call me?"
Well, who is that? You love it? Yo, that sounds like Mariah Carey. That's me!
Mariah's reps denied the person on the tapes was her, but in 2009, Eminem released Bagpipes from Baghdad, an entire track that just took shots at both Mariah and her then husband Nick Cannon. The song started off kind of whiny with him saying, "Mariah, what happened to us? Why did we have to break up?" and then got vicious when he said, "Nick Cannon, you prick, I wish you luck with the fucking whore." Ouch. After this, Mariah released her hit song Obsessed, which was very clearly mocking Eminem, and he did not take it well. This is what resulted in the infamous diss track The Warning. He claimed that he and Mariah dated for over 6 months and only had sex once, and that Mariah often flew to his house, and that she was an alleged alcoholic, and he once ejaculated on her stomach. And then he threatened her and called her every vile sexist word you could think of. After all this, Eminem basically laid off minus a few disses here and there. Most words in a hit song world record. On Rap God, Eminem raps 1,560 words throughout the whole song, which averages 4.28 words per second. In one 15-second segment alone, he raps 97 words, 6.46 words per second at what he called supersonic speed. Donkey Kong. Back in 2010, Eminem shared a photo on Twitter of a Donkey Kong machine with a high score of 465,800, which would have put him into the top 30 players in the world. I'm happy this is what M was doing instead of drugs. Amsterdam. The original name for the Marshall Mathers LP was Amsterdam, named after one of his favorite cities. In addition to the legal drugs that it had to offer, M was annoyed by Dutch journalists during his first visit there, so he wrote several songs about them. Regardless, it's clear that the city was integral to the writing of the album. Eminem destroys every guest verse. In 2001, Eminem appeared on Jay-Z's album The Blueprint, where the two collaborated on a song called Renegade. It's widely regarded, probably mostly thanks to Ether by Nas, that Eminem had the better verse on the song, despite him being the feature. In hip-hop specifically, it's an unspoken thing that you don't want your featured artist to have a better verse than you on your album, in order not to overshadow you. Because of Renegade, whenever M would do a guest feature, people would call it renegading because he would typically have the better verse. This was true for a long time, but I think more recently this trend has died down, as shown by features like No Favors and Twerk That, Pop That. I fucking hate this song.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
The Interview cameo. In 2014, Seth Rogen and James Franco made a movie called The Interview. I doubt I need to explain what this movie is about. James Franco plays a talk show host, and there's a scene where he interviews Eminem, and he comes out as gay. They even poke fun at some of the Relapse lyrics. It's a really funny scene. Eminem plays it so straight, no pun intended, and I love when artists don't take themselves too seriously. BET Awards 2006. At the 2006 BET Awards, Eminem made a surprise appearance and rapped a new verse over Busta Rhymes' Touch It. It was his first live performance in a year and his first performance since the death of his friend Proof. Although there's no studio version of M's verse, you can listen to the live performance on YouTube. The Kids replaced Kim. On the Marshall Mathers LP, one of M's most notorious songs, not for the best reasons, is Kim. Because of how vulgar the song is, a clean version wasn't even made, but instead, M recorded a whole new song called The Kids, which replaced Kim as track 16 on the clean version of MMLP1. This clean version would have sounded like We Cry Together.
Look at your husband now! I said look at him!
Uncut versions of songs. Despite Eminem's songs having some extremely graphic and vulgar language, there are a few songs with lines even cut from the explicit versions because of their language or reference. On Kim, there's this line. On I'm Back, there's this line. And on Role Model, there's this line. There are a couple other instances of this as well on songs like Marshall Mathers, where the use of his mother's attorney's name is censored, and even My Name Is replace an original line, which I will not be repeating. Fan album community. There are a ton of people who will compile Eminem features, remixes, freestyles, live performances, and more to make fan albums. This was done a couple of times, like with the Slim Shady LP 2, which featured leftover songs, features, and skits from 1997 to 1999. Recovery Revival, essentially what Refill was to Relapse for Recovery. Try to say that 3 times. That had songs like Despicable, Fly Away, and solo versions of 50 Cent's My Life and T.I.'s That's All She Wrote. And a bonus disc for Revival that had the Chloroseptic remix, his Caterpillar feature, a live performance of Stan, and more. All these projects are available online. Rhyming Orange. A lot of people say there's nothing that rhymes with orange, and Eminem said that this annoys him because he rhymes words with orange on songs like Role Model, Brain Damage, Brainless, Get You Mad, The Kids, 365, Kill You, Business, American Psycho, Big Weenie, and most notably, Tone Deaf.
Bitch, I can make orange rhyme with banana. Or nana.
Now that's a bar. Revival promo and leaked track list. Okay, this is something I actually remember, and it sucks that Revival is what it is because this was a fun album rollout. So our first glimpse at Revival was when Eminem released Campaign Speech in October 2016, which I think I've listened to the song like one time and one time only. Then he did his Storm freestyle a year later. Then Paul Rosenberg posted this picture pretending to promote Yelawolf's album, but he was actually promoting Revival with the fake billboard in the background. Searching it would lead you to a website, then a phone number that when called would give you information about this medication with I Need a Doctor playing in the background.
Thank you for your interest in Revival, the #1 slightly invasive treatment for Atrox with thymus. You only get one shot to beat AR. Don't miss your chance with Revival. Please hold to speak to a patient care representative.
Then Eminem announced Walk on Water with a script for Revival. So now it was confirmed. Then, at the end of November, Eminem tweeted this video confirming the album and its release date.
Hello again, this is Trevor for Revival. You spent the last few weeks hearing about Revival and how you could treat moderate to severe Atrox with thymus. Well, today I have great news for all of you suffering from AR. You see, Revival isn't a medication at all. Revival is the name of the new album from Eminem, and it's coming out December 15th. On behalf of everyone who took part in the Revival campaign, thank you. Don't worry, you won't be seeing us again. If you happen to run into me out on the street, please don't ask me anything about the album. M told me he likes to keep people guessing. Just kidding, I don't know shit. I've never met Eminem. Revival, December 15th. Use as directed.
As for the leaked track list, in October, one track list was floating around that had features from Rihanna, Kendrick Lamar, and more, but soon enough ex-ambassadors would post what the real track list was, which spread across the internet until M confirmed it himself. D'Angelo Bailey. In the song Brain Damage on the Slim Shady LP, Eminem raps about a bully named D'Angelo Bailey who used to pick on him in grade school. In 2001, Bailey hit Eminem with a $1 million lawsuit claiming he invaded his privacy and slandered him. According to the complaint, Eminem made up stories that damaged Bailey's reputation, caused him humiliation, anger, and embarrassment, and hurt his ability to launch his own rap career. In Brain Damage, Eminem raps, "I was harassed daily by this fat kid named D'Angelo Bailey, an 8th grader who acted obnoxious cause his father boxes. So every day he'd shove me in lockers. One day he came in the bathroom while I was pissing and had me in a position and beat me into submission. He banged my head against a urinal till he broke my nose, soaked my clothes in blood, grabbed me and choked my throat." Now, it should be noted that in 1982, Eminem's mother unsuccessfully sued the Roseville School District, claiming the attacks by bullies caused Marshall headaches, nausea, and antisocial behavior. And D'Angelo admitted to picking on Eminem as a kid, saying, "There was a bunch of us that used to mess with him, you know, bully type things. We flipped him right on his head at recess, we didn't see him moving, we took off running. We lied and said that he slipped on ice." Jesus fucking Christ.
You going to jail. You're going to jail.
To nobody's surprise, in 2003, the judge dismissed the case. She ruled that the lyrics were clearly exaggerated because they even mentioned the school principal participating in one of the beatings with Bailey. She argued that no listener would believe that this was an actual event due to just how comedic it was. To mock Bailey, she delivered her ruling in a rap, saying, "Mr. Bailey complains that his rap is trash, so he's seeking compensation in the form of cash. Bailey thinks he's entitled to some kind of monetary gain because Eminem used his name in vain. The lyrics are stories that no one would take as fact. They're an exaggeration of a childish act." The verdict was upheld in 2005, and Bailey's lawyer definitively ruled out any future appeals. Clearly not the sharpest tool in the shed, Bailey made himself look even worse than the character portrayed in the song. They really said L plus ratio plus M better. Roots and success. There was some rumor in 2015 that Eminem would be releasing an album titled Roots, but these claims had no source behind them. Soon enough, M's spokesperson came out to say that this was completely untrue. I'm not sure what success is referring to, but it might be something similar. The Anthem. The Anthem is a song from Sway and King Tech, which features 9 artists consisting of RZA, Tech 9, Exhibit, Pharoah Monk, Cool G Rap, Chino XL, KRS-One, and our man of the hour, Eminem. It's a great track and each verse is short, but it lands a punch. Unmastered Sequence. There was a promotional CD for the Slim Shady LP that was only sent to a few media partners of Interscope. Most of the songs are different from what's on the Slim Shady LP for the most part, it's just mixing differences. But songs like Low Down Dirty are reperformed with updated vocals, and No One's Iller, Take the Whole World With Me, and As the World Turns and Bad Meets Evil have different beats. The Funeral. There was a rumor in 2006 that M was working on an album called The Funeral. The rumor was that it was going to be a concept album where M dies and each of his personas were going to be rapping his eulogy. Slim Shady, Marshall Mathers, etc. On top of that, other rappers like Stat Quo and Obi Trice were supposedly going to be rapping as Eminem from the dead, or something along those lines. In 2019, a mixtape titled The Funeral popped up online that was just Eminem features over the years and some unreleased tracks. You can apparently buy it as a physical version as well, which I would not encourage. I Got The. I Got The is the song that Marshall samples for My Name Is. The original song is by Levy Surf. 2 minutes and 10 seconds in, you hear what would become the beat for My Name Is. Dre really didn't do much sample flipping for this, honestly. It's mostly exactly the same. Wiz Khalifa once said, "If you like a song, try and find the original sample. Chances are that shit's fire too." And he's absolutely correct. Detroit doesn't roll with Eminem. I couldn't find much on this besides artists like Sada Baby saying M does nothing for Detroit, and I Swear Vezo saying M was out of touch with Detroit, and that other Detroit rappers like T Grizzly and Babyface Ray would say the same thing. There's definitely a conversation to be had, cause you can find some charitable things M has done for Detroit, but it's not like we're looking at his tax returns, so how would we know for sure? Don't Call Me Marshall. Don't Call Me Marshall is a fan-made mixtape with an abundance of M features, diss tracks, and even official tracks like Love Me from the 8 Mile soundtrack and Stimulate. It's a long tape with fun surprises like Smackdown by D12, a weird Lose Yourself remix, and that? Yeah, I don't think I ever heard this one before. E Japan release. In 2004, a mixtape by Eminem was released in Japan just titled E. It had some of the same songs from Don't Call Me Marshall like My Name, Stimulate, The Kids, and more. The origins of this mixtape are unknown, and if it was made specifically just to promote songs that were popular in Japan, but you can listen to them all online and some on streaming. Cancelled Puzzle Game. The Eminem Game was a planned game developed by Conspiracy Entertainment based on Eminem. Announced on May 14, 2003, the game was going to feature 6 puzzles for players to complete, as well as 4 music videos by Eminem and unspecified bonus material. The game was completed and submitted to the ESRB in 2 separate forms, the standard one receiving a T rating and the uncut receiving an M rating. On July 28, 2003, Conspiracy Entertainment filed a $5 million lawsuit against Eminem's representatives for pulling out of the deal, supposedly because they were looking for a bigger company to release the game. No footage or images of the games were ever released, and this is considered lost media. Ariana Grande controversy. Eminem has referenced the Manchester bombings outside the Ariana Grande concert, I believe twice, once on Unaccommodating and previously on his kickoff freestyle. This obviously had backlash, with the mayor of Manchester even saying the lyrics were unnecessarily hurtful and deeply disrespectful to the families affected. Years prior, Eminem did help raise $2 million for the victims, so I'm not sure why he would do this for any other reason besides shock value. Hip Hop Witch. The Hip Hop Witch is a 2000 parody of the infamous horror film The Blair Witch Project. The film features appearances by Eminem, Mobb Deep, Ja Rule, and even Vanilla Ice. After learning about the Hip Hop Witch, a powerful supernatural being that lurks in the ghettos and attacks upcoming rappers, which makes their record sales go up, 5 suburban teenagers go on a quest to get their rap career started by being attacked by this Hip Hop Witch. Filming their experience, they run into past hip hop stars that have already battled with the witch in person. The movie has 1 star on IMDb and a 26% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, so I'll definitely have to check this one out. Haley's song Beatles sample. Back when Eminem was working on the Eminem Show, he had planned to use the song While My Guitar Gently Weeps as the sample for the track Haley's Song, but lost the rights after George Harrison passed away and was forced to recreate the instrumental. While no official versions have leaked online, fans have tried to recreate their own interpretations themselves. Eminem did nu metal. Nu metal, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, is a subgenre of alt-metal that combines elements of heavy metal music with other genres such as hip-hop, alt-rock, funk, industrial, and grunge. In 1998, Eminem recorded a song with Kid Rock called Fuck Off that I guess fell into this genre. The song didn't make it on Kid Rock's upcoming album, Devil Without a Case, but you can listen to the full song online. Hellbound. In 2000, Yosumi Records released a compilation album titled Game Over. Track 11 is a song called Hellbound featuring Eminem, Jay Black, and Masta Ace. It's a fine song, it samples Soul Calibur, which is pretty cool. Basement Productions. Basement Productions was the original name for Soul Intent. They did release their first EP under this name, making it self-titled, and it consisted of 6 songs, 3 by Eminem and 3 by Chaos Kid respectively. You can listen to them all online. Butterfingers YouTube channel. DJ Butterfingers is a DJ, musician, rapper, and producer from Detroit and a member of New Jack's, Basement Productions, and Soul Intent. He did a lot of music with Eminem in the late 80s and across the 90s that for some time went unreleased. But in the past 2 years, he's been archiving music onto YouTube for everybody to hear. He, among others, were working on a documentary called One-Handed Juggler about the early days of Soul Intent and Basement Productions. The documentary has been delayed indefinitely, but I hope we get to see it sooner than later. Relapse Resistance. Relapse Resistance was an iPhone game based on the Relapse album. Not much else is known about the game. It looks like the game was based off the 3AM video. It's no longer available in the App Store, and there have been talks of fans trying to port it to PC to retrieve it, but as of right now, the game is not playable. What If I Was Gay? In late 2019, an unreleased Eminem and Joyner Lucas collaboration leaked online that consisted of the two rapping about what would happen if they came out as gay. The track finds Joyner rapping from the perspective of a gay man coming out of the closet. He raps about dealing with a lack of acceptance from his religion, leading him to thoughts of self-hatred. Eminem takes the perspective of Joyner's homophobic friend, who is less than accepting. The story continues with Joyner's character committing, then Eminem's character admits that he's also gay. You can hear the full song online, unfortunately.
What if I'm a hypocrite who's afraid to just face truth? Wait, what if I told you I'm gay too?
I really hope this song never sees the light of day. There's just something that rubs me the wrong way about 2 straight men, one of whom who's used an abundance of homophobic slurs in the past, making a song about this. Maybe it works for you, but it just doesn't really work for me. The Anime Album. In 2008, a YouTube channel by the name of Hellbound Dochi made almost 40 mashup of Eminem songs and different anime themes and songs. Yup, there's a real Slim Shady Berserk remix, a Rabbit Run One Piece remix, and a Clean Out My Closet Bleach remix. The list goes on, and I'm actually surprised I've never heard any of these before. Very interesting. Black America. Black America is an unofficial mixtape by Stackhouse Recordings of a ton of weird remixes, and this is the cover.
What the fuck?
Yeah, safe to say I don't really want to check this out. This actually looks terrible, and I cannot say I'm honestly interested. Christopher Reeve. Christopher Reeve was an actor best known for playing Superman in the 70s and 80s. In 1995, he was sadly thrown off a horse during a competition and broke his neck. When he fell from his horse, he landed directly on his helmet in a near perpendicular position, breaking 2 vertebrae in his neck. His spinal cord was not completely severed, but he suffered a lot of blood loss. The injury sadly left him paralyzed from the neck down, and he sadly passed away about 9 years later at the age of 52 due to heart failure. Now, some of you might be wondering, why is he on the iceberg? Well, in normal Eminem fashion, he poked fun at the actor for years and years in like over 10 songs. I don't know if Eminem thought it was funny that a man who played Superman became paralyzed, but like, to mention it over and over and over again just seems so excessive. Like, can you leave this man alone? I think he's suffered enough. I'm gonna read just a few times Eminem mentioned Christopher Reeve. Okay. Put Christopher Reeves on a unicycle with a kickstand. Kick it up and push him and lead him right into quicksand. Here, you need a hand, big man? Grab a hold of this branch with both hands. Man, they don't understand I'm just a sick man. It's a sick world we live in these days. Slim, for Pete's sake, put down Christopher Reeves' legs. So much on my hands, I've got to give my kids a fist bump. Christopher Reeves swimming in my swim trunks. Mr. Help Me is what he said to me and then sunk. There's so many more, and I think there's even a compilation of how many times he makes fun of this poor man. Encore was supposed to have a song which M removed last minute titled Christopher Reeves. The song was listed online a few days before the release, but Christopher Reeves passed away and Eminem trashed the song, and it was never released and has never been heard publicly. You can't cancel Eminem. Oh god, okay, here we go. There was a trend in early 2021, I guess some people had brought up some of Eminem's lyrics in the question, and this really popular video was posted basically saying that Gen Z is dumb and they can't cancel Eminem because he is the rap god and millennials are superior because they hate their wives or something, I don't know. This is just a personal thing. I think this video is pretty cringe. I'm an Eminem fan who doesn't like a lot of his language, but regardless, this is just weird. And yes, I know she made a response making fun of the dumb babies like me for calling her cringe. It's fine, it's fine. It's just, it's hard to watch for me personally. Celebrity Dark Side Museum. So I couldn't find much on this topic besides other people asking what it could be, but to avoid leaving this topic blank, let's just make some shit up. By the title Celebrity Dark Side Museum, we can assume that this might have something to do with celebrities and their dirty laundry, possibly a place where specific items are on display, but only for the highest profile of people. Maybe this is where you can find the answer to the 27 Club, conspiracies, maybe this is where you can find Who Asked. Because if that's the case, I'll take 2 tickets, please.
Yes, that's worth $50.
The Kamikaze song that went too far. In part 3 of the Kamikaze interview with Sway, Eminem says that Dr. Dre shot down a couple songs for the album, specifically one that he felt went too far. Sway laughed and asked how far it went, and M just responded by saying it was too much and didn't provide much context. Some people speculate that it was another Trump diss, and after being greeted by the Secret Service, M and Dre decided to trash the song, but it's not confirmed at all. There's a chance it wasn't a diss at all, and maybe M was just saying too much on the song. I guess we'll never know. Stan lost verse. In one of the first drafts of Stan, there was an extra verse where Stan survives his car crash and goes to Eminem's house to kill him. Eminem tries to kill him first, but ends up sending him to the hospital instead. And because M doesn't write him any get well cards, when Stan gets out of the hospital, he goes back to try and kill Eminem again, to which Eminem kills him instead. I'm honestly happy this verse was cut, because Stan is such a poetic song, and this verse would have only made it more brutal. My Darling Conspiracy Theory. On the Slim Shady EP, there's an intro of a skit of the Slim Shady persona haunting Eminem. He claims to have killed the persona, but the voice urges him to look in the mirror and see what the two are truly inseparable. It's honestly kinda creepy. At the end, you can hear M punch the mirror, and this is actually seen on the cover art as well. On Refill, the song My Darling revives this persona and speaks to Eminem as kind of the devil on his shoulder. They go back and forth, and his voice tells Eminem that his soul belongs to him, and after his hiatus, he's taking it back. The conspiracy theory is basically M sold his soul to the devil in exchange for fame and wealth, and so on and so forth. This song brings me back to the early 2010s on YouTube, where people would try to expose celebrities for being part of like the Illuminati. I wonder where those creators are now. Eminem predicted stan culture. This entry is referring to the term stan being used very often to describe hardcore fans. For a long time, people would just use this word to describe themselves as a big fan of something, but that was obviously very contradictory to where the word comes from. At least from what I see now anytime, people use this word to describe crazy fans who dox people for saying a song is bad. If you need an example, just go to the comment section of my first Eminem video. Public Enemy No. 1 Conspiracy Theory. Public Enemy No. 1 is a song from the compilation album The Re-Up. The song follows Eminem talking about a conspiracy to have him killed. He starts his verse talking about how people are tapping into his phone and getting thrown into a van and never being seen again. He claims to be a dead man walking. The theory is here that this actually came true, but instead of just being killed, he was killed and cloned. Yeah, it's a dumb theory. I don't think anyone believes that. More on that later. Miscellaneous bootlegs. Eminem is no stranger to bootlegs. Mixtapes like Off the Wall, Eminem is Back, and Remission are popular ones that people seem to know. I've actually seen Remission for sale at my local record and CD store. They tend to be compilations of unreleased songs, remixes, and sometimes they just rip songs right from albums. There's even a funny skit from Obi Trice's 2006 mixtape, Bar Shots, where Eminem rants about music piracy and bootlegging.
Public service announcement and another annoying message from Slim Shady. Due to a massive amount of bootlegging, no thanks to this fucking guy, DJ Who Kid, and constant downloading, people are no longer buying CDs so that we can get paid for our fucking work. They are just continuing to get songs for free. Teenagers, older folks, and little fucking brats alike. See, what they do is they buy computers, strictly pick songs that they like, and burn them onto CDs or put them on iPods, causing major decrease in SoundScan, putting music retail in a tremendous slump, causing artists such as myself to make no money for record sales and be forced to tour, causing more stress, arguments with my wife, not being able to see my kids, drink more, take more pills, punch more people in the face, hate the world, and end up in rehab. This has been a public service announcement and an excused event by Marshall Mathers. Not that I wouldn't have done the same thing if I could get music for free when I was a kid, but now that I rap for a living, buy my goddamn CDs! But in the meantime, buy this Obi Trice bootleg from DJ Who Kid and put more money in his pocket. Thanks.
Every popular artist suffers from this, and I think the best advice for it is, don't think about it. Eminem said the N-word. So, this is a loaded topic. There are a few videos where you can clearly hear Eminem rapping the N-word on songs like Scary Movies, The Watcher, Biterphobia, Still DRE. For this next part, I can only source my brain because for some reason I couldn't find any articles about this, but I remember very clearly there was some interview where Eminem was asked about the usage of the N-word, and his comment was something like, "I'm not saying I've never said it, but white rappers should not be using it." And I remember some 50 Cent interview where he said Eminem is the only white person who could use the N-word.
London, if you're feeling me, holla back. If you still a nigga, holla back.
Eminem. This one is honestly kind of dumb. It's a creepypasta that goes like this. A woman saw an ad on TV for Revival, so she went to the store to buy a CD. The cover read E-M-I-N-E, with the M barely visible. When she brought it to the register, the cashier screamed at the sight of the album. There were 7 songs, and the first one was called Come Back. The track started off with static and cracks and pops here and there, then it played in the middle part of Stand, and it just ended with Eminem saying hello. The second track was called 3001. It started with Eminem saying something about the moon, then someone yells at him for taking his girlfriend, then they both start fighting and punching was heard while hearing laughing in the background. Someone yells stop it, and then it ends with a beep. The third track was called Never, and it was just 2 people talking about a news report about a fire that happened in the forest. This lasted forever. The fourth track was called 10, and it started with a frantic person screaming, then to Eminem laughing for a minute, and then he says run, then a scream was heard. The person says they heard something fall behind them, and the 5th track was called Si Iman Wine, My Name Is Backwards. It started with the beginning of My Name Is, but after Eminem says hi kids, it just repeats My Name Is backwards the whole time. Track 6 was called Blank Test. It was Eminem saying the word everything quietly for 2 minutes and then just saying test, and it was silent for a minute. Then drums just played out for the rest of the song. The 7th song started with Eminem saying, "There's no time left, man, turn off the music." Then he screams, "Get away from me, you monster." The same scream was heard from the 4th track, but then a woman screamed, "Get out," and then a slicing sound was heard. Eminem said, "Turn off the music or she'll hurt you more," while more slicing was heard and there was pain all over their body. They turned off their laptop, but before it turned off, they heard Eminem saying, "Thank you." They took out the disc and broke it in half and threw it out their window into a lake. A few months later, they received a letter in the mail saying the disc they bought was not made by Eminem, but someone who worked for Eminem and was fired and made that album. This checks out for me, guys. I don't know about you, but this makes total sense. My Salsa was officially released. At the end of the D12 song, My Band, the song randomly transitions into this weird bit of Eminem singing about his next single being titled My Salsa, and he claims that his salsa makes all the pretty girls dance and want to take off their underpants. Yes, of course. This entry suggests that the song was in fact released, but this is not true. In 2011, someone made a full version, but that's the closest we have to the official release. Mom Skit. On the Slim Shady EP, there's a skit titled Mommy, and it happens to actually be the intro to 97 Bonnie and Clyde and the outro to Kim. That's really it. Shady Tales. In 2009, news broke that Eminem and Dr. Dre would star in a horror film titled Shady Tales. It was said that the movie would pay homage to classic horror films like Christine, Aliens, and The Lost Boys. There was supposed to be a tie-in comic as well. Unfortunately, the project was shelved at some point, and there's probably no chance we ever see this released. Eminem died in 2007 and was cloned. Oh boy, I was just waiting for this one. So, a lot of people actually believe that Eminem died in 2007, and the Eminem we see in the public is a clone. And I'm just gonna actually read the theory written by somebody. Like, I'm gonna read it word for word because it's pretty good. It's a pretty good theory. The real Eminem was a decent guy who simply had a wild imagination and was just a little dysfunctional. He had an awareness about himself and a non-compromise attitude towards mainstream culture that he despised and ridiculed through his music. This is what made him attractive to a younger generation of people who also see through the facade we are supposed to embrace. The new Eminem is totally different though. This clone that is acting as Eminem is now a total sellout, a homosexual, and a Satanist. You know, like the rest of the stars nowadays, who most of are mind controlled and maybe some of them are clones too. He was approaching ways to see if he was willing to compromise further and basically become initiated into the secret criminal satanic underworld. These celebrities don't become a part of the Illuminati, but rather they become slaves of the masters who are in the bloodline of the families in this satanic cult that are creating the New World Order. Eminem obviously told them to shove it, so they killed him through a car crash, and probably finished him off after if that didn't kill him. Wow. Yeah, on the small chance you actually think there is some truth to this, there's not. Like at all. It's a funny theory. It's funny. But if you think about it for more than, 2 seconds, I mean, it's not true. Eminem Rule 34. What does my life come to? So, if you're not familiar with Rule 34, it states that if it exists, there's porn for it. So, if you're into something like that, happy birthday. King Mathers and Relapse 2 released officially. Similar to My Salsa, this entry implies that King Mathers and Relapse 2 were officially released. This again is not true. Like I said earlier in the Iceberg, there is enough leaked material from both projects to basically listen to them in full, but they were never officially released by Eminem himself.
Hello! Thank you so much for watching. So, to acknowledge the elephant in the room, I'm alive. I know I've been gone for like 5 months or something. I think my last upload was March. My life got like really fucking hectic. I graduated college. That was really cool. Then I started working like all the time, which was awful. And I probably got paid like $50 for over like $200 of work and labor. And then I was fortunate enough to go on an extended vacation with my family. And while I was gone, I started working on the next ranking video, which is going to be the weekend. So hopefully I can get that out within the next like 2 months. This video took so long because I had wrote the script over the course of maybe like 2 months. And editing has been really hard. I didn't get to edit the audio for some time. And once I did, I started editing the actual video. But that just took a lot of time because I started it, then I would go to work, and then I would work on it again, but then I went away and I was away from home, and I work from home on my desktop. I can't edit on my laptop. I don't know. It just doesn't work for me. But I'm back. I'm going to try to start uploading more regularly. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I worked pretty hard on this one, did a lot of research. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.